5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We are on the air, ladies and gentlemen, and we are happy to welcome you to our first issue of what is called Credit In. It's our around the globe journey to learn about credit management, about credit management in different locations. And for our first destination, I've chosen the country I've never been to, but I got very deep feelings, whatever you may think about that, about Declan Flood. He's one of the most positive persons I've met in my life. Declan, welcome. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Let me just explain what's going to happen today. So we spoke with Declan before, before today's air, and I was trying to explain to him, and I try to explain to everyone, that we can learn about other countries from economic reports. We can learn about other countries by reading books, by reading media, social media, many, many different things. But there is always one thing which we could not get from either, written or video source. It's a live taste of things going on in the country. So when we speak about credit management, the main thing is to speak a credit manager who does credit management locally and with the luxury of experience which Declan has. Mr. Flood, you are welcome to Credit Chats.
No, it's a great honor and privilege, and always great to speak to you, Andrew. So you're certainly flying the flag from an international perspective.
Yeah, so we are doing our round the world trip. I'm sure we won't do that in 80 days, according to Juven, but we will have it. So Ireland, as any other country, is different from others. By the way, today is 14th, but I expect and on 17th you've got a celebration. So let's start from there. So on March 17th, this will be St. Patrick's Day. So yes, in anticipation of that, I believe it is green enough.
Yes, and I suppose that's one of the miracles of Ireland.
Yes, so let's start from the miracle.
Yeah,
explain. What is the background of that St. Patrick's Day? Because it is celebrated around the globe. I've celebrated one many times.
Yes,
in my life. And
yeah, I suppose it shows the influence we have when you consider that Ireland is just a very small island off the coast of Europe. We're now back up to about 5 million people on the island. So in global terms, we are so small, and also in global reach, and certainly Patrick's Day being one, you will see nearly most countries around the world will have some Patrick's Day. In New York, they'll have their parades. The landmarks will turn green around the world. And it's a great day to celebrate being Irish because of our past. And I suppose Ireland traditionally was a very poor country. And, so over the last 150 years, Irish immigrants have gone elsewhere to find work. And a huge proportion of Americans now claim to have Irish heritage. Nice. And they're all over the world, from Argentina to the UK to every corner of the world. You will find Irish people, and the new generation of Irish people now are colonizing Australia. I don't know, it might have something to do with barbecues and beer, but they're doing their thing. So I think we have a far greater global influence than our size, which is something that we're proud of,
Yeah, because every one thing I used to find, and I don't know one one city I've been to which didn't have Irish pub.
Yes.
So
Now,
it's not only about beer, but it's a place where Irish people used to get together, I think.
oh no, it's still no, the Irish pub is still very much the cornerstone of all activity within the country. And I suppose we have a reputation of being fond of drink, and maybe it's for a very good reason, you know.
Oh,
So yeah, the pub in Ireland is still very much the social center of the world. Now, look, times have changed and things have moved on, and there's a whole new generation. Still, no matter where you are in Ireland, the pub is the place to go.
yeah.
So that's just
So
who we are.
it's not about drinking, it's about getting together.
That is the main thing, and certainly, Irish. Yes, we will enjoy our few drinks. You'll find music, entertainment, and even the locals. You'll get some great stories at the bar over a pint as well.
Well,
So I think we are natural storytellers and musicians, and I suppose that's borne out worldwide as well by the influence we've had on the music scene, the acting scene, the playwrights, Irish. Well, I was in Mexico a few years ago, and I was
mhm,
amazed that when I mentioned Ireland, the three things that came back was Guinness, obviously,
mhm.
but Ulysses and James Joyce. People in Mexico were aware of it, and a lot of our sort of, and you too, obviously, were the other.
Yeah,
The,
that's what I wanted to mention. When you say musicians, two things come to my mind. I'm younger generation a little bit, so for me, this is U2 and Cranberries.
Yes, yeah, and they're huge, and so there's a huge, musical heritage in Ireland as well, and obviously then we have our traditional music that will be, you know, forced into everybody's eardrums now on the
Yeah,
17th in the name of St. Patrick.
this is really great. This is really great. So, and when you see, when we get to international things, international credit management, we all know. I mean, credit management is a part of business, and we all understand simple thing that doing business is actually communicating with people
Yes.
to the biggest possible extent, whatever we do. So when I know, I mean, my, let's say, very, very first finding about Irish people is that that Irish people are quite easy to get, to get in contact. There is no like, arrogance or something like that. You just, if you have something, just come and say something, let's speak. But
Yeah.
in general, when we speak about getting in touch with people from other culture, from other territories, cultural difference are really important. So if you can get us through, let's say, simple things of like, I don't know, do and don'ts, what to say, what to do, and what not to do when you are dealing with, let's say, an I don't know. It's I mean,
With our Irish people, yes. No, I
with an
know,
Irish
I
person
know in terms.
when sitting across across the table or you are doing business with.
Yes. Well, a few pointers for anybody from an international audience. So, number one mistake I think international people make is that because Ireland and England are known as the British Isles,
Mhm,
and because sometime back in 1800 they did form this entity called the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Ireland.
mhm.
Ireland is not part of Great Britain or the UK or anything else. So
Yeah.
we are an independent country, have been for over 100 years, and I think we are proudly independent. So, if you call an Irish person, English or whatever, yes, we speak English, and they are our neighbours and very important trading partners, and we do get on with them individually very well. Um, so that's that. So it is not. And the other thing to be aware of as well, that even though it is a very small island, there are two countries on the island. So, we have the Republic of Ireland, which is known as the South of Ireland, and then we have Northern Ireland, that is part of
Yes.
the UK. So even though Belfast and Dublin are, only 100 miles from each other, or 120 kilometers on this side of the border, they're two totally different. The Northern Ireland is part of the UK. They use sterling, they use miles per hour. On this side, we use kilometers, we use euro. So it is two totally different areas. Now, look, we're not going to get into rights and wrongs in history and politics. The
No,
reality
it's not
is
about
they're
that.
there.
Not about that.
And and I think, you have very proud Irish people and Northern Ireland people as well. So, to think that, Belfast and Dublin are the same, they are not. Now, obviously, there's a welcome in both cities, and
Yes.
that's a given. So there are common traits that we have. There are also differences.
Mm-hmm. And in terms of culture, like specific behaviors, like no, I mean we are not speaking. Obviously, we know the three basic rules: never touch religion, politics, and and something else. But on the other stuff, how you normally conversate, how you normally negotiate? Is that like small talks? Is that kind of necessary thing in Ireland, or you can go straightforward like people in Netherlands used to do?
Yeah, and probably still do. I think there are two very different types of business in Ireland.
Mm-hmm.
So for example, I said Ireland was, a very small and very poor country, with not many natural resources. We certainly have agriculture, fisheries, and that kind of thing, but from a mineral deposits now, it wouldn't be great. So there's been a huge transformation over the last number of years. So 40 years ago, Ireland would have been, an island with island people. In the last 20 years, we have become so multicultural and international. And I think it's part of our natural welcoming, demeanor that we have. So Ireland is a country we have welcomed so many refugees and all that kind of stuff. It is in our nature to welcome people, and certainly by walking on the streets of Dublin City, the amount of nationalities and cultures that's in Ireland, and this is all in the last few years. So we're going through a huge transformation, and the great thing about the Irish is we are adaptable. We're quick on our feet, and we change. So 50 years ago, we're an agricultural country. Then, the move came into pharma, into IT, technology, and we move with whatever's working at the time. We had the biggest crash in 2008 because we embraced the growth of the
Absolutely.
world more enthusiastically than everybody else. So obviously then the crash that we suffered as a result was probably bigger than anybody else. And then we bounce back because that's what we do. We are a resilient race. In terms of doing business and small talk, the two types of business we have is the multinationals. So Ireland is a hotbed for multinationals. A lot of the major global players are headquartered here in Dublin.
Yes.
Now, some people might say that's for tax reasons, and maybe that does come into it. Although we have embraced the new EU rules on taxation, so our corporation tax rate now I think is 15%. So, and I think in Malta I think it's zero. So anyway, we can talk to Joseph about that when the time comes.
We will know that next week. You and
we know next week. So yes, there are tax advantages. The other advantage we have now, following Brexit, we are now the only English-speaking country in the EU. So it makes Ireland very attractive from an American investment perspective. So a lot of the multinationals, because we have a young workforce, we have an educated workforce, we have a tech savvy workforce, we have native English speaking. It makes it, and one leg in Europe, it makes it a very attractive proposition for investment. And our education system here is pretty good too. And the graduates that we turn out, are top class, and they've proved that worldwide. They are bright, they are intelligent. So that's somebody saying something there. No. So that is the Irish. So in terms of doing business in Ireland, I suppose if you're doing business with a major multinational, to a large number of extents, if they're an American multinational, like American rules apply.
Mm-hmm.
If you're working for an American company, and I did myself sometime, you have to become like them because that's the culture within the company.
Yeah.
So, for example, so there'll be a lot of compliance and all that kind of stuff. The local Irish domestic business, you'll find that far more relaxed and personal and chatty. So if you're doing business with individuals or smaller companies in Ireland, yes, there is room for personality. When you're dealing with the corporate entities and those guys, it tends to be more corporate.
Okay, so the corporate business is a corporate business, yeah. When you do business with American corporation or like with any other, that's okay. And so one thing you already mentioned, that we should not treat Ireland as England or like Northern Ireland. I'm Ukrainian, and I got absolute feeling about that. So sometimes you have to underline that, no, I'm Ukrainian. I am Ukrainian, but this is not the same. I'm sorry to disappoint you, but this is different story. And again, you see, I still got a bit of feeling that if we take that general, let's say, English-speaking environment, so the culture of the real culture of conversating, getting in touch, negotiating, everything is more or less the same, provided, like there are no specific rules. Like if I deal with English people, with Irish people, with American people, with Australian, because these are different things, because at the same time all people believe that they speak English, it's already enough. And then I was once on the training of conversation skills, and there was English native speaker, I don't remember the real nationality, and he said, that's amazing, in English speaking environment, what we call it Anglo-Sax, people used to go low in style. So you say, dear Mr., when you don't know a person, you say, dear Mr. Johnson.
Yeah.
Then second email, hi Jack. But I did that mistake 50, I don't remember how many times, but we can in for instance, in Slavic culture, when we are writing, we trying to highlight the respect. We address person officially. And this is like, if you write to somebody in England, like, dear Mr., the reply is, what did I do?
Well, my rule for, particularly for emails, and again, I know we have multinational, but the great thing about people is they tend to be all different as well, which makes it a very interesting world. And what I would recommend our students here is that the correct salutation on an email is the one that they use. So if you say, dear Declan, I will say, dear Andrew. If you say, hi Declan, I'll say, hi Andrew. If you
Yeah.
say Declan, I'll say Andrew.
Yes.
So,
That's
and I think if we want to communicate with people, it's far better to respect their style, because how they do things is how they think is correct. So if you think that's correct, then that's exactly how I'm going to do it.
Yeah, no,
I want to be
just
formal.
to facilitate communication, because if the person, ends his email with Declan or Andre or Andy, this presumes that you take that
Yeah,
into your reply and use hi Andy, and or dear Andy, whatever. So
yeah,
you just doing that. Yes,
yeah.
absolutely. That's when we get to credit management, our way of behaving is supposed not to be too much different from sales, because in the end of the day, we are doing more or less the same thing in terms of
Oh no,
communicating.
we are doing a far more important job than sales.
Yes, we may
So I have
debate it.
defined I've defined credit management as the completion of the sale.
Yeah,
So the sale begins with an order, and salespeople by their nature will sell to anybody who has a pulse and an order book in their hand, right? As a credit manager, my main concern is profitable sales. It's not just sales at all
could not
costs,
could
it's
not agree with
profitable
you.
sales.
Could not
So
agree. Yeah.
I think, and that's something that I have been pursuing here in Ireland in our education and training in credit, that really a credit manager should be the manager of the margin. They should be the person responsible for the profitability of the business. Because it's all about profitable sales. That's what I'm
Uh,
about.
No doubt about that, but I highlight importance of credit management in a bit different way, maybe, but in the end, it is not that much dissimilar from yours, because we have to contribute on the sales side, because we're supposed to provide customers with competitive terms of credit.
Yes,
And this is, by the way, the absolutely important point, because this is the right time to make sure our sales are profitable.
yes,
So but anyway, what I'm trying to say, we are playing on the both side, on our own side when we are completing sales, and we have to play on the sales side because we're supposed to facilitate sales in general, facilitate, consumption of our goods. But today,
the only reason I can give anybody as to why they should go to the trouble and expense of extending credit in the first place
yes,
is that if it helps them to sell more.
yeah,
So credit is a pro sales function. We give credit so to increase our sales. We work with our customers to keep them paying and buying.
yeah.
I would honestly say that as a credit manager and the credit controllers who are on the team, we cared more about our customers than any salespeople in the organization.
Well, I got a joke about that. Maybe in the end. Maybe in the end. Um, yes, I am absolutely on the same position. I just say that if receivables or like credit management doesn't help to sell, what's the reason of keeping it within the country,
Sure.
within the company? There is no reason for that. There is no reason for having receivables. There is no reason for having credit at all. I mean, if it doesn't help to sell, receivables supposed to serve their purpose. But let's back to Ireland.
Yeah.
Uh, any recent, you already gave us a background about the island, but any recent trends in the Irish economy which I know highlighted? I know that there was a big major move. By the way, thanks to that, I think Ireland is now on one of the first very, very top places in terms of income per capita. Like it
Yes,
is.
I think we're actually number one now. Well,
I would
we're very close. I know Luxembourg, because
either
of its
number one
nature.
or number two. So it is
Yeah,
it is very, 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 very high. So this is, by the way, thanks to shared business, shared services concept. Because if I understand, these are headquarters, shared services, all of that, which brings a lot to the economy. And
Yeah.
by the way, with these shared services, because I've heard over last 3-4 years that companies already either considering, already thinking about getting their operations back to their homelands.
I had a conversation with a financial controller once on this very topic. And
Yes.
I asked him the question. I said, some companies centralize and some companies decentralize. I
Mhm.
said, can you give me the logical reason for it? And
Mhm.
he was the first person who did. He said, yes, of course, there's a logical reason for it. He said, if I am appointed as a finance director to a company and everything is centralized, I will decentralize it and vice versa, because that way I get my people in place and cements my place in the organization.
Maybe.
So,
Yeah.
so that was it. And, when you look at it, it probably does make sense to me, to be honest with you. And I know Ireland has benefited greatly from shared service centres, and
Mhm.
Ireland would be a centre of credit. And what you will find in these shared service centres, even if they are multinationals, they will have native speakers. So the Spanish team will have Spanish people, and the
Yes.
French team will have French people. So even though their desks are here in Ireland, we do have native speakers doing it. My own preference, to be honest with you, is that credit control should be as close to the customer as possible. That's my view. And if you can do that in an office in Dublin, well and good. You need to be close. And I think the more you centralize credit, the more it becomes process driven, the more it becomes formulaic. And I think, if we want to be pro business and supporting the business, the closer we are to that, I think the better it is for the business.
You see, this is we cannot discuss Ireland credit management in Ireland without discussing credit management. That's absolutely correct. You see, my view on that, first of all, yes, I absolutely agree that credit management and credit operations supposed to be customer centric.
Yes.
This is supposed to be customer centric, but then if we centralize and if we standardize, we are like trying to go to customer and go out of customer and go, and live in the customer at the same time.
Mm.
So like technical operations, yes, but again, communication and things like that. You see, when you speak to a customer, I know you in your career, you used to speak to a customer. Every customer wants to be special. Every customer wants to have special care, but at the same time, it's not only on conversation, because in my career, I used to serve, quite big customer portfolio. Then it's just a question how you deliver that specialty and that customer focus, because you can always do it on the phone.
Mm.
You can take care of your customers being anywhere reasonably. The
Yes.
question is, either you are allowed to do something special for your customer from wherever you are, or you just perform your credit policy or your credit procedure. I think it's more about that rather than location.
Yes, I do. I think so. And certainly, and look, in case anybody gets the wrong impression here, I'm a firm believer in credit policies. I'm a firm believer in setting out the rules. I am a firm
Mhm.
believer in following a process, because otherwise you have chaos within the business. So as long as the credit policy covers 95% of the business, and
Yes.
then we can manage the 5% exceptions. And to me, it works on a power basis. So if I am dealing with a company that is bigger and more powerful than me, and I need them more than they need me, then I will do whatever they want. If I am in a position of power over customers, then they will do what I tell them to do. And
Oh,
I think if we make that distinction in our heads, so we have the rules and we follow them, and then we also have the capability to make exceptions where there's large customers and important customers. In terms of turnover, every customer is important irrespective of size. That's a given. What do they say? Everyone is equal, and some are more equal than others.
well, we are touching, we are getting to the hot water with that because, all animals are equal is Orwell.
Yeah, so I missed that. Sorry. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, because what I can see, I used to manage portfolio, quite big multinational portfolio. And once I was asked to write a credit policy for them, I said, look, I got 150 customers located in 150 different countries.
Yeah.
So if you want me to write really a credit policy, I mean, real credit policy, I need to find 100, I need to write 150 different credit policies because I need a special credit policy for every customer. Obviously, certain part of procedures would be the same.
Of course,
That's
yeah.
correct. And I'm happy to do that. But if I write a credit policy, I got Italy, Ireland, Japan, and United States.
Yeah.
How do you want me to, how do you want me to policy them?
Yeah.
That's different. And as you touch the tax point, do you have any very special legal regulations which are exist in an island, which makes it distinct from Ireland from other countries?
Oh, I do think so. Yes. Now, obviously, we're part of the
Something
EU.
really, really laying on, really to know when you enter Ireland,
Yeah.
like.
I think one of the great differences between Ireland and a lot of other countries in Europe is the ease at which you can set up a business in Ireland. The required share capital for a limited company in Ireland is €2.
In Switzerland,
No, we are pretty yeah. What's Switzerland? It's probably 20,000, is it?
now, you I mean, sole trader does not have any
Oh no,
requirement.
sole trader, same here. Yeah.
And for the limited analog or
Yeah.
substitute to LLC, this will be 20,000
Yeah, and I think
capital, and for let's say share SA,
yeah,
Société Anonyme or AG Aktiengesellschaft, you would need 100,000 Swiss francs. It's currently this is a little bit more than 100,000 euros.
right.
But
Ireland
€2,
is
it
€2, and then we have quite
a
a lot of €2 companies as well. So it does make the job of credit management here pretty difficult, because some companies have very little, from a security perspective when giving credit. It also, though, it encourages innovation and it encourages people to set up business. And I think if there's one thing the Irish have is, they are innovative and they are, they find new ways. So as an entrepreneurial nation, we are very, very good that way. And certainly, and we've embraced technology and, all to do with it. So yes, so that is that. We were also become more and more compliant as time goes on. So our, say, company registration office now would have very high percentages of compliant companies who file their accounts when they should and all that kind of stuff. It wasn't always the case. We are getting better We have a very active revenue commissioners here. So in terms of paying taxes, that's a given. And we have a 23% VAT rate, which is, that's on luxury goods, which is kind of high internationally, I think, as well.
It
And
is
then we
very
have a
high.
lower rate of tax as
Yes.
well.
Yeah. 23, because in Switzerland we now got increased rate. It is 8.1%
VAT.
VAT.
Yeah.
But if you have a look at in general at the European countries, I mean, 23 is slightly above than average rate in Europe. I think because I was not preparing. And in terms of special requirements, say for collecting debts, is there any special regulations, or when we speak about credit management? I understand that it's quite easy to register a company, then company starts to trade. I can tell you, even if you go to Ukraine or if you go to, to that Russian-speaking environment, number of companies which have, let's call them highly leveraged or low capital companies. This number will be very high. Sometimes people don't have, but in that part of the world, just to give to give a little bit of comparison to highlight, these low, let's say €2 companies are actually a reflection that owners of company don't keep their money in the company. They try to get them they try to get them out as soon as possible.
Yeah, well, now in Ireland that doesn't really work, because your tax on company profits is 15%, is the corporation tax.
Yeah.
If you then, so if I have a company and the company makes profits, I pay 15% tax on the profits, fine. If then I want to take money out into my own bank account, then I have to pay personal income tax, which in Ireland at the moment is probably heading for 52%.
Oh,
so it's about 40% income tax, and then we have pay-related social insurance and the universal social charge and things. So when you put it all together,
but you better keep money in the company.
You better keep money in the company.
Now you see that's a bit different story, but okay, we were not discussing Ukraine here. We're discussing Ireland. So personal income tax is quite high.
Yes, it is, and I suppose we're kind of a mixed economy. So I think we're neither right wing or left wing. I think we have a social conscience. We do look after our students and our citizens, and certainly anybody, from the immigrants that have come so far and refugees. We've certainly looked after them pretty well as well. Now, having said that, one of the downsides is that this has led to a fairly major housing crisis here in the country at the moment. I think about 100,000 Ukrainians have arrived in Ireland.
Oh yeah, this could be the case, because now we are spread around the globe.
Yeah. And up to yesterday, we gave each of those, I think it was €250 a week, and that's spending money, and provide them with accommodation and all the other services that they needed. So
thank you very much for that.
Now what I'm hoping is, well, obviously we're all hoping the conflict will end and people can go home and live productive lives in peace. For those who decide to stay here, that they become part of the economy and contributors to the economy here, because in terms of Ireland and unemployment, we're almost at full employment at the moment. I think in last month it was about 4.2% unemployment, which is practically full employment. There's always going
to be 4.2.
4.2% unemployed. Yeah. So and that's about as good as it gets. Between everything, you don't get much better than that. So and certainly there is a need for to bring in particularly skilled. Well, what we've done over the last number of years here is that all our college kids sorry, all our kids have been sort of pushed into going to college.
Yeah.
So they all have degrees and they all have stuff. Now, the problem is if you're looking for a plumber,
Yes.
because they're all off in these degrees and professions and stuff, there's a huge lack of tradespeople, building people, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So there are certainly opportunities here in Ireland for anybody, particularly who can do any form of trade. It's wide open at the moment.
Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, opportunities are in Ireland.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for for this advice from so it is quite easy to start a company, and there is huge demand for trades for like
Yes, and also though, just in terms of yes, it is easy to set up a company. You know, there are very strict rules in terms of how you conduct a business.
Mhm.
So just because it's
Can you
easy,
elaborate on
not,
this a little bit? So when we speak about strict rules, like couple of examples, what does that mean, strict rules?
well, certainly in terms of reporting.
Hmm.
So you have to report your results in terms of you have to register for VAT, you have to make your VAT returns. I think say every 2 months, or well, depending on the
Hmm.
size of the business, it can be monthly. And if you employ staff, you have to pay your tax monthly. So there are strict rules in terms of, and we're pretty good on compliance now at this stage. We've a very active central bank, and so there is a lot of regulations, there's a lot of rules. So setting up a company, it's easy in the initial stages. There are a lot of things you have to be aware of and have to conform with, in order to keep it going. But
So
still,
typically,
it is. And in terms of as a country, you know, like we're still land, we're still mostly an agricultural country, and
mhm.
the scenery is absolutely fantastic. We have, and even Dublin as a city, I could be standing corrected now. I think 14 stories is the tallest building we have in Dublin.
Yeah.
We don't we've not nationally afraid of heights, I think. So that's that. So it is a kind of it's a great place to come and visit and do business, and you find people are easy to do business with. As long as it's in everybody's interest. The Irish will push for a deal. We might
Yeah.
appear to be relaxed. We're clued in when it comes to business too, though. We're
Yeah.
not as foolish as you might think.
Yes, this is great. One more question about that. What about credit information in Ireland? How open what is the difficulty to access company information? I mean, I know that everything connected to person is already regulated by European Union, so getting personal information is difficult. We know that.
Well,
Maybe.
well, as a credit provider, one of the things that's happened here in the last couple of years is that we have a central credit register for individuals,
Hmm.
and any transaction in excess of 500 euros has to be recorded with the central credit register. So if you take out a 600 euro loan from your local credit union, that is logged with the central credit, and then every monthly payment you get a tick for payment made and an X for
That's
a payment
amazing.
missed.
That's amazing. So, does that mean that any other creditor has an access to this information? So, the indebtedness of a physical person could be verified.
No, again, the people who have access to the register are the credit providers. So
That's
I couldn't get your
what I'm
yeah.
asking.
So if I am a credit union, and I am offering you a loan as a member of the central credit register, I can
Yes.
then apply to you and say, show me his credit rating, and it shows bank accounts, credit cards, missed payments, everything that, and I think it's for 6 years. They hold those records.
And the current outstanding debt.
Oh yes, yes, and any missed payments and anything else. So
That's really amazing thing, because very difficult. In other countries, it's quite difficult to get information. You might have understanding of the income, but then what are the expenses and what is the indebtedness? So when there is indebtedness, if for, let's say, official uh, credit provider, this information is available, this is great. And what about the companies? Is
oh,
that
it's excellent, yeah, because
is that the same as, or similar to? Is that similar to the United Kingdom, where they got a company house where all
yes,
information is available?
yes, and we have companies office, and there are information providers with live links to it's called CRO, the company registration office, and yeah, as the information is uploaded, it's publicly available. So
So I mean, if I need like Irish company accounts, I can simply go to CRO and get them.
yes. Now, having said that, and this is one of the downsides from a credit perspective, is that at the moment, all you will see is 2022 accounts.
Well, that's normal.
Yeah.
You
So
see,
they
yeah.
have 9 months, I think. So if your year end is 2023, you have until September to file them.
Well,
So they're always kind of now. Having said that, and it was an argument I used to have with customers, like, how on earth can I make a decision today based on what
mhm.
has happened in 2022? Like the world has changed in the last 2 years. So as a credit manager, while I have access to this information, if I'm looking at a €2 company who's looking for a significant credit line, I would tend to get more up to date information from them. So
Yes.
if possible, and
You
that's one thing
see,
that I would push for.
it's another story, because if you compare that, obviously 22 in the beginning of 24
Yeah.
is not very good. Is not very good. But I would say we are a bit perfectionists when we work in credit management, because if you compare Ireland to Middle East or Switzerland
Mm,
or United States,
yeah. Yes. Yes. Very good.
I mean, for follow credit in, we will speak about the United States, and Switzerland will be very close in the beginning of April, and we will
Very good.
have a credit manager. Let me make an announcement, who
Yeah.
is dealing with nearly every business in Switzerland.
Oh,
So
very good.
let me keep it. So in Ireland, you are lucky enough,
Yes,
because
and the other thing, sorry, I neglected to say, when it comes to consumer credit, so we're dealing with
Mhm.
credit to individuals, the instructions very clear from the central bank here in Ireland is that the main criteria in granting credit to individuals is the provider must ensure they have the ability to repay.
yeah.
So that is that. So for
It's
example,
from
in
barrier
America, and
to
you get
another 2008, I think.
well, that's yeah, and then that's probably some of the good that came out of that particular crash,
Yeah.
because people were given money that they never had a chance of being able to repay.
I still remember where we met first time in person. This was in Jayburg
That's
in
right.
2016. And I do remember the presentation of Tony Lidgo, who said that was already 2013. And he said, since 2008, we are continue to discover, again, we continue to discover what is called ninja customer. Ninja, no income, no assets, a job. No job out
Oh
there.
yes, yeah, always crazy.
So that's what is called a ninja customer. And I do remember, in 2008, this was a great thing, greatest example.
Yeah,
I
but
think
you
it
see
was,
what happened back there, just to give people an insight into it. What was happening was that before these rules about affordability came into play, the the finance providers were providing finance based on the value of the asset. So
yes,
if a house was worth €1 million, and you know, and what was also happening up to 2008 was that house prices were appreciating at around 20% per annum. So what was happening was, so you'd buy a house for 1 million. This time next year it would be worth 1.2 million, and the year after it would be worth 1.5. So this was the
yes.
inflation that happened in the years up to 2028. So the prices just lost all, and then the banks were giving 100% mortgages, and they were basing it on the value of the asset. So what we did was we just kept pushing up prices, and the banks kept giving us money. Because up to that point in this country, since the beginning of time, property prices have never fallen, ever. Property prices have always been on an upward trajectory since the beginning of time until 2008. So,
But the
I
house
suppose
is
this
unable
is,
to pay for itself.
yeah,
This
and
is
you're
virtual
probably,
price. You know, the price and the cash are two different things. Things are
yes.
like just like in accounting. You know, you might have huge profit, but in order to repay your debts, you need cash flow.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Oh,
That's
well,
basic.
that's no problem either, because at that time the banks were giving interest-only loans.
Yes.
So you didn't have to repay the principal. You just paid the interest. And what people were doing was they were buying properties, they were paying the interest, they were selling them a year later, and they
Yes.
were earning more than people who were working.
That
So,
could be the case, as long as the
oh, I
price are
know.
growing. But when the price are growing on Evolvent, sooner or later they start going down. That's nature. We like it or not, you know.
And that was my words at the time. And I gave a talk in the Construction Industry Federation in
Mhm.
2007. And I said, lads, wake up. This is just waiting to explode. And I was accused of sounding like a pessimist. So anyway, they do remember, though, which is good.
You see,
So
it's okay. Let me stay diplomatic about that because we used to live till 2008. We used to live under two major presumptions. First one is that every bank is reliable itself because of the business model.
yep.
Second thing, bank is a model for every other creditor because the credit management is professionally organized there.
I'm not sure
Because
about that.
they are specialized in credit management.
You would
Well,
think, yeah.
you see, after 2008, it's already difficult to think so. So we like, by the way, this was great moment when let's say, to see how constant things numbers or something, firm and reliable becomes variable.
Mm.
The same story, by the way, with audit, but let's keep it. It might be treated as politically incorrect. And when we speak about Irish local market, uh,
Yeah.
I am under impression that as everywhere on the globe, but in Ireland, it is more important that it is normally business done between the people. So you need to speak to people. You need to look. You need to look them into eyes and let them look into your eyes. So you speak, and business, especially local, say domestic business, is
Yeah.
normally quite interpersonal. But what are the, let's say, usual, which I understand presumes that you need to come across, you need to come around to speak with your client directly when we speak about business to business. Um, what are the, obviously you have to speak English unless you speak Gaelic. Uh,
Well, very few people in Ireland speak Irish, which is a
Really,
shame. But yes, very few.
very
It
few.
is our official language. It's still a very minority. Like 100% of people in Ireland would speak English, and
Yes.
I would say if there's you know there's people who can speak Irish and there's people who do speak Irish.
Yeah.
So I would say maybe 10% could and 1 or 2% do.
Yeah.
So it's
There is a story, the Chinese guy. It's a real story. It's not a joke. The Chinese guy decided to learn English, and he got to Ireland and started to work as a barman in a pub.
mm.
So he started to learn a language, but that was, I mean, as a matter of bad luck to him, he found a pub where majority of people speak Irish. So he was learning Irish over, I think, 3 or 5 years.
Oh no.
And he was, when he left, he was absolutely surprised how it is possible. He was learning English for 3 years and no one understands him.
Oh no, that is wonderful. I haven't heard that. Yeah.
Now, there was a similar story, but it's a little bit different. An American guy who decided to learn Buddhism, to become Buddhist, he came to India and he spent half a year and spent all of his money in India trying to find Buddhist until one, like host by person said, "There are no Buddhist in India, they're already in Tibet. Everyone, so you have to move on." So
Oh, yeah.
this could be, sometimes life gives us surprises, but on top of, getting, coming around and speaking with people, what are the, let's say, usual terms in the local trade?
Well, I suppose the standard terms for
Standard
credit
for
would be
Ireland?
end of month following. So so whatever goods you provide in
Mhm.
this is normal business to business ongoing trade, if you know what I mean.
End of
So
month following. So
end
let
of
me
month following.
translate to my Slavic. English is that language for me. So this means that everything which I deliver during the month supposed to be paid on a fixed date
Of the following month.
of the following month. This could be
Yes.
sometimes this could be days, sometimes this could be day, month plus something, or so on and so forth. But this is normally like this.
Yeah. Now I know there are moves in the EU to standardize credit terms. I don't know, have you seen that? Joseph is the man to talk to about that. He's working very hard on it at the moment. But the EU are looking to standardize payment terms as end of month across all contracts.
We
So
will we will see. We
yeah, I
already
think
have,
it makes
you
it.
see, we already have a legislation of restricting payment terms to 60 days.
Yeah.
And some buyers, some suppliers do follow, some not. And so far, I didn't see any special mechanism of control. And speaking with credit managements around the globe, okay, there is a legislation. And when I train credit managers, I also say, okay, you need to take that factor into account, like local legislation or specific. But so far, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, but I never seen, reliable working mechanism of controlling that.
Well, not from a legislative or a national perspective.
Yes.
I think though it's down to each individual credit manager to manage their own ledger and to enforce
Yes.
their own terms. And to me, and I mentioned it earlier, like credit terms are really dictated by the power that both parties bring to the equation.
Absolutely. No,
So,
well,
and I can't see that changing. Now, I know the EU is very good when it comes to abuse of power and
yes.
standing up for the small guy, which is to be welcomed. The reality is power is power.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. You see, it's okay. You can mention in negotiation that there is a regulation or there is a law that payment term could not be more than 60 days.
Yeah.
But then if somebody will tell you, so what? what you're gonna be saying. You know, you go to the street and find another customer. That these are the things. So,
Yeah.
and normally you say, if we try to understand the length, because next month fixed date is more or less 30 days, or kind of in terms of calendar days.
Well, it depends. Now, when I was a credit manager, the credit terms I recommended for, well, the credit terms that we enforced, it was the payment was due on the 28th day of the month following. So everything that you buy in February is due for payment on the 28th of March.
Yeah, which something like 45 days, because I used to do special calculations, so that
We can calculate DSOs any way you want them.
no, it's not this.
Yeah.
It's not
So,
DSO.
so,
I
so,
mean,
so, 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 so let's not
this.
do
I
that.
mean, if you speak about DSO, it was true DSO. But we like on average, we obviously, in order to get precise number, this will be something between 29 and 68 day. The 68 days. This is absolutely correct. But I mean, normally what we are speaking about, this will be normally, let's say for majority of B2B transactions, there will be next month, not like I don't know,
Yes.
month after next and then month after next. So it's not going significantly farther than this range between 30 and 60 days.
Absolutely not. And I suppose more and more as business moves online,
Mhm.
and certainly the Irish have embraced online business.
Yeah.
That is one big trend now away from physical shops to online. There's been a huge shift here. And people are getting into the habit of paying using their credit cards to
Yeah.
make purchases before they ever arrive. So that trend is happening here. We have a young population, and then obviously all these buy now, pay later credit schemes to encourage people to buy. So yeah, look, there's every opportunity, and Ireland certainly embraces all the technologies very quickly here as well. So
Yeah,
that is that.
and on top of the payment terms, any tradition of using things like bank guarantees or credits on the domestic market. We
Oh,
know
absolutely, yeah. Bank guarantees are
guarantees
huge.
because I give you an example in European Union, for instance. Um, in my recent project, I was really surprised to see that landlords, when they are renting, commercial property,
Yeah,
they require bank guarantee.
yeah, yeah.
So use of the bank guarantees is quite common in Ireland as well. So
Oh, it's wonderful. And certainly I would recommend it, again, when appropriate.
sure.
Yeah, it just, and again, I suppose the lesson from 2008, it's only as good as the bank who's giving it. So
No,
just be
I
careful of
what
that too.
I'm trying to say is if because a lot, terms of credit on a specific market, they highly dependent on the local traditions. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah,
Obviously,
yeah,
availability of credit insurance, of all the trade credit security. I,
yeah,
I think this term is more appropriate than any other. Simply my opinion. But when the customers when customers used to provide bank guarantees in return, in order to obtain the credit extended by the supplier, that's one thing. Or absolutely different story when these customers say we are not providing bank guarantees to anyone. So
yeah. No bank guarantees there. And then at a lower level, and I suppose to counteract our 2 euro companies.
yeah,
Uh, it is not uncommon to ask a director of a company for a personal guarantee.
sure.
So, in the event of the failure of the company, the director will be personally liable for the debts, and that is, in some circles that would be a standard way. And then the other thing, just that we're giving you an insight into Ireland, we do have an excellent legal system here. So the Irish legal system would be up there with everyone in the world. Um, it's obviously based on the English law and common law. It has its
So
roots.
it is common law based. It is not
It is
continental.
common law based, yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
And then obviously, so what we did was, you know, and having been a British colony for so long, so we adopted the English laws, and then obviously, there's only a few years where we were in charge of our own destiny, and then we became part of the EU. So, there is a whole raft of very, very substantial laws, and we have an excellent court system. Now, like every court system, it's expensive and it's time consuming, and it's also uncertain. But yet, there is a good legal
Oh,
basis. So if people have an issue, there is a process there
no.
to ensure that, you know.
I don't think that, speed all, and, expansiveness. So, like expanses is the real characteristic of the law system or like court system. I
Yeah.
think everything starts from its independence. So if it is really independent and correct,
Yes.
like independence of court, it's main thing which is which actually plays the major role.
Yeah. And certainly in Ireland, and Ireland, I think is different from most as well in terms of we have a constitution here as well.
Mhm.
So there are rights, and certainly the separation between the government and the judiciary, that is not up for discussion. They are totally separate, which
That's
is
which is absolutely great. So this is the main thing. So then other story is that what I always highly recommend to every trade creditor or creditor in general, you need to do your best, and that's where credit manager plays major role,
yeah.
is not to get to the court.
Oh, yes.
Everything you can achieve, you should achieve before you go to the court, because court
Yeah.
is the ultima ratio regis, the last reason of kings.
Yes. And having said that, and all the education and training that I do is to avoid court as much as possible. The only thing I will say out there is that if all your other actions have fallen on deaf ears, if they're ignoring your emails, your calls, they're not engaging with you, they're not talking to you,
Yeah.
then I would say, and obviously if they have the money,
Yes.
not to too many credit managers wait too long to take legal action.
Yeah.
If I think after 2 months I am wasting my time here, this guy is not going to engage, he is not going to pay.
Yes.
And then at that stage, and I know you might say it goes against everything I teach, because it's all about relationships and keeping the customer. If 2 months is gone and you have not paid and you haven't engaged and whatever, at this stage you've gone beyond the line of being a customer. Now it's about the money.
Yeah. That's
And I
exactly the
would say
moment,
go
sorry
straight
for
away.
cutting you, when the customer becomes simply debtor. And this is
Yes.
so, and if I mean we may keep, or we may treat, well, okay, let me say it more simply. The biggest mistake we creditors do on the stage of collection is when we treat a debtor as a customer, or when we treat a customer as a debtor.
Yes, I agree.
Therefore, I always say that collection starts exactly from this point, when you have to decide either this counterpart, either physical person or company, whoever, is still a customer or a debtor, because only you decide.
Yeah.
Only you decide, I mean, you might not have all information, but you have to take a decision whether or not this specific counterpart is still a customer, already a debtor, and then you decide. This defines, and this is black and white. You
I
like
think
it or
so.
not,
Yes, should
this
be.
is black and white. There is nothing in the middle.
Yeah, no, I would definitely agree, and I think that's a challenge for a lot of credit managers. And then once they make the call that they've made the transition from customer, that they are no longer a customer, they are now a debtor, then I think legal action, the quicker you take legal action, the better it is all round.
Yeah, and my suggestion from my side is that too often when you do that quickly, or quite often when you do that quickly, real threat of legal action normally summarises the abusing debtor and make them, let's say, less confident in their strength, and they start cooperating.
Yes, they do.
Provided that you got 100% coverage. Again, another story. You see, collection, I don't say it is good or bad, or it is easy, or or hard. But the thing is, normally when the debtor has money, collection of money is just a question of being professional enough. Okay, we cannot touch the point of payment behavior, because we know that whatever professional credit management they do, there are always payment delay just because cash is in the hand of our counterpart. And what is the normal behavior of average, let's call them of average local Irish company? How the accounts payable work, and what are the
and this is something that's important that your audience understands, particularly an international audience. And maybe it goes to the core of what the Irish are like. The Irish are very good payers if you ask them to pay.
This means that if you remind, they pay.
If you remind,
pay on the first reminder.
They need reminding. There is no, and if you supply a small Irish company with goods, and you never make any attempt to collect it, they will make absolutely no attempt to pay it. All right. So in terms of now, obviously the multinationals have automatic processes, and that's fine. And there's a lot of larger companies who will do the same. By and large, if you're giving credit to indigenous Irish businesses, you need a credit control function. It is not going to happen by magic. They are not going to just pay. And I suppose it's part of our post-colonial nature that we get away with whatever we think we can get away with, and if people aren't looking for the money, well, then obviously they don't need it, and that's it. So it's more a kind of an attitude than any badness, because the Irish are terrible payers, and some are and some are great. It depends how you teach them.
But absolutely. And also, I didn't remember that's the specific date, but my practice is that you need to get really in touch with the customer, because we always compete for sales and we compete for cash. Customers are cash. And therefore, again, the personal touch. And I was explaining that in one of my teams. And again, providing a joke, and it was like I explained. So tried to get person. It was quite a big customer, and in 5 years they made one delay.
Okay.
And I had a subordinate. His name was Adriano, and he was speaking both Italian and Spanish, and he was calling a Spanish customer on that delay.
Yeah, your sound is gone a bit there, Andrew.
Sorry.
Yeah.
And
That's better.
He called, and over that week I was explaining to him, so make personal touch with the customer. And then that day came. They delayed the payment for 1 day, and he was speaking to them in Spanish, and he explains, "So sorry, we didn't receive your payment." And then, like, "We didn't receive your payment." He said that in Spanish, something like that. Then he puts the phone and started to laugh.
Yeah.
"You were right." I said, "What?" One lady, I spoke to them and said, "We didn't receive the payment." And another lady started to scream. Like, Maria, yes. Do you know what we did? We've forgotten to pay Adriano. Multinational company, huge business, everything, they've forgotten to pay Adriano.
Yeah.
Who is credit control?
Yeah. Oh, that's
So
okay.
that was really okay. We received money like nearly the same date and everything, 1 day of delay. But again, personal touch
Yeah.
is
But
again is
now, just
important
to
here as well.
clarify that as well, Andrew, as well, as well as national differences, we also have a generational difference as well.
Mhm.
And what I find is that there's a younger, credit controller, credit control team, and again, without generalizing, but certainly, credit controllers in their 20s are kind of allergic to using the phone. They in terms of messaging and emailing, and now it's non-contact and it's far easier and less combative. And I have walked through silent credit control and back to the shared service centers and the large multinational organizations, and I'm struck by the silence as I'm walking through, because I know when I was credit manager and had a team of credit controllers, everybody used to give out about the noise of the department and
Yeah,
how
it's supposed to be
noisy
like
we
orchestra.
were, and there was
Of
always a
course.
buzz in the place. So so what? Yes, first personal contact is desired. I think in the first instance, email is probably how the world is communicating now, and if that gets the correct results, then you're fine. If the email is falls on deaf ears or doesn't get the desired action, then certainly a follow-up call would be would be the best way to do it. But I do see my younger generation, yeah, they're adverse to speaking to people. It's
Well,
all social
yes.
media now.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure what time now. We're heading for.
No, we're scheduled for hour and a half. So
Oh, that's grand. Well,
I
that's
mean,
fine.
unless you have to leave, because
No, I'm in no hurry at all. Though I'm enjoying the chat now, and catching
I
up.
see also the chat. So in terms of payment, again, we always have delay because I think we've covered our, let's say, prescribed program about the island, about the country. But
Yeah.
ladies and gentlemen, please put your questions in the chat. And we already got an interesting question from Diana. Let me read it because it was quite big. Again, if you prepared, just a second.
Yeah, sorry.
So no, neither. That's all about computers. We believe they are fast, but normally they are delayed. Could you please ask the client the following question? To my knowledge, in Ireland, customers are required to file their accounts every 2 years, and the company's registration office is not updated as frequently as one might anticipate. What would be the most effective method for evaluating credit risk and creating scorecards? I am of the opinion that relying on credit score based on financial data that is 2 years old does not provide an accurate understanding of customers' current financial standing. Consequently, this could result in high exposure for your company. How do you approach this to reduce the exposure? What credit risk assessment is used? It's quite a big philosophical question. I
Yeah,
got
it is.
no answer.
Now, just to clarify, yeah, no, companies have to file accounts every year. So I
Okay.
think it said every 2 years. No, every year companies have to file accounts. And yes, I understand the 2 year that right now we're looking at 2022 accounts. So that is number one. From from a credit management perspective, to me, financial, their financial situation, to me, that's only one part of the equation. You
Sure.
know, So this might sound far too simple, but I give it anyway, and I got away with it for my whole career, right? My basis for doing credit management and as a credit manager, going back to the basics of the word credit, which is based on credere, which is to believe or to trust.
Yes.
I always felt that, to me, credit is trust. And as a credit manager, the question I asked was, can I trust you? And if I can trust you, then I will give you credit. If I can't trust you, then I won't. Now, financials form part of that picture. So if I don't know a customer from Adam, have they got the financial strength and the wherewithal? And you know what? Even if I don't have the up-to-date figures, you know, if they have been around for the last 22 years and they're showing 10% growth year on year, and they have, you know, reserves of, you know, adequate reserves, I'm happy enough to do business with them. There are other behavioral scoring models. So rather than just getting a financial scoring model, you know, to me, payment performance would score higher than financials. So I have done business with companies that are technically, you know, maybe, well, certainly unprofitable, or maybe they're profitable and technically insolvent. Whereas if you were doing the sums and relying on the agencies for a reference, it wouldn't happen. But this is where personal knowledge. So for me, yes, DNB say, or Experian or Credit Safe or any of the other agencies that are out there say, look, high risk, no credit. If it's important enough, you know, I think there is trading, there's knowledge, there's ability, there's payment performance, there's guarantees, there's all sorts of other areas I could look at. And you know, to me, the challenge for that I give to my students is that your job is to find a way of delivering that order. That's your job. You know, if an order comes in, back to supporting sales, find a way to deliver it. And if that is giving credit or open credit, or maybe it's a 7-day credit, or maybe it's payment up front, we'll find a way to deliver that order. And so accounts, let's not get caught up. It's an important part, and it's important that I know that the company has the wherewithal to you know, the financial capabilities of paying. I have done business myself with companies who didn't. And you see, here's the thing, right? And this might sound crazy. If a company has a negative working capital, it means it cannot pay all its bills as they fall due. I don't care as long as they'll pay me.
Well, if you allow me to interrupt, because it's question not about Ireland, it's question about credit management.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
First of all, we need to look at trends. First of all, I mean, let's start from the very beginning, or what is called, since we started to quote in Latin, what is called ab ovo, or from the egg, from the very beginning. Every single set of financial statements we get, even if we take multinational corporation accounts, you know, undersigned by international audit firm, they will be outdated. Then, if anything of what I said above is guaranteeing anything, why did we have Enron in 2001? It's a classical case. Yeah. So they were publishing accounts, so we had everything. So the thing is, first of all, we look at trends. Second thing, I made in my life, and by the way, let me make an announcement. On April 4th, 5 p.m. Central European time, we will have Edward Altman in our studio. So Edward Altman will be with us, so you may ask questions him as well. So this, you know, my dream came true. I would speak with him. So, but I did the mistake. I believe that Altman's score is so simple and elegant, so we can use it, unless I read his book, where he wrote, you know, black on white, that neither scoring model should be the only ground for the credit decision. And
Yeah.
you rightly mentioned today, Declan, is that, what agency says, high risk, no credit. I think this is the one of the most dangerous stereotypes we have, at least in trade credit. High risk is clear. Okay, this might be high risk, this might be low risk, but this sentence you just said, high risk, no credit, means that assessment of risk is a ready-made decision, which is never the case.
This is where education and training of credit managers is vital. And there are credit managers, and I've been in very large companies where I met their credit risk team, and their credit risk process was a D&B report. That was it.
It's already better.
Nothing else.
It's already better than grant credit blinded. But you see, again, if we consider, well, I did several researches on that. And significant part of people believe that risk assessment is really a ready-made credit decision, which should not be the case, because we are allowed. And I will finish in one sentence, and that's a big and very dangerous stereotype. That's one thing, because we've got at least 5 ways to manage credit risk, high or low. There are 5 ways to manage creded risk, not a rejection.
Oh, no.
Not a rejection because the risk is high. And another thing to take into account is that, just to answer into Diana, risk assessment is an important part of credit management, like using scorecard or whatever way, ratio analysis, whatever way we do. But altogether, if we take the flow of credit management, like we assess risk, then we structure a deal.
Yeah.
Then we put this everything in practice, then we control, then we collect. So altogether, out of that risk assessment, if we simply take into account credit worthiness of the customer, payment term, credit demand, and trade credit security, altogether from credit process, Declan, sorry for speaking for too long, credit worthiness assessment with scorecard or whatever way it is represents about 15% of the whole credit transaction. Probably. Nothing more. So we must take it into account, but it does not mean that assessment of risk is a credit management. It is the same story, by the way, for collection.
Yeah, and the other thing that I would add to that, Andrew, as well, is profitability.
Yes.
So if it depends on your business. So if you're selling an item with a huge markup on it, so I'm buying something for $0.01 that I'm selling for €1. If that's the case, then I can set my bar an awful lot lower because, like, if I lose 1,000 of these, I've only lost €10. And if 1 in 10 pay, I have made 1,000%. So certainly the profitability and within markets. So I opened my eyes and walked into some high risk markets as well, on the basis that the margin would sustain it. And because I recorded it on a monthly basis, that was some of the most profitable business the company had ever done.
I can only confirm with the following, because we speak about customer. We need to take into account customer lifecycle.
Oh yes, of course, yeah.
Because if a customer fails on the first payment and they fail to pay and they go bankrupt, that's one story. But if customer will work with us for 15 months, we already generate huge profit. If we lose in the end, if we write off, okay. Yeah. Okay, we may add whiskey to our beer in the evening, but then we will find another customer. But altogether, this will be profitable.
Yeah,
Declan,
it's
I
done.
cannot even explain what pleasure I got always speaking with you. Thank you
Good.
very much for helping us to start this international journey. I do thank everyone who found time to join us online on this stream. I promise to everyone that the record will be published on our YouTube channel.
Brilliant.
Memorize the crediting hashtag because it will stay with us for coming. I mean, we calculated that since we've got 250 countries on the globe, and we can do, let's say, on weekly basis. So we expect to have this series for quite a long time.
5 years.
So,
And I look forward to hearing, and if I could add my thanks to yours, to everybody who's still with us, and hopefully they've enjoyed it and got something out of it. And on a personal level, you know, my anybody who wants to contact me, I'm sure the contact details will appear here. I'm always happy to help, and you know, no matter what is credit related, if it's, you know, calculators or scoring or whatever, I probably have them sitting in my laptop somewhere, and I'm always happy to help and share. That's
yeah,
kind of what I do now at this stage. So it's been a pleasure, Andrew. Thank you very much indeed for the opportunity
thank you.
to kick
So
this off.
thanks to everyone who joined us. And since I'm calling, we are doing that from Switzerland, and we've got the tradition to say in the end, I mean, as it could be said in the local environment here in Swiss Romand, we could say bon crédit. So see you on the next time. So our next destination, sorry, didn't finish yet. Our next destination will be Malta, and we will have, I think, the smartest one of the smartest credit management in the world, Joseph Busutil.
I would agree with that, yeah.
So see you next Thursday if you have time. Otherwise, we will share with you a record. So see you around. Thank you very much, Declan.
Yeah, thank you very much. Take care. Bye bye.
Take care. Bye bye.